इंसान भी बहुत अजीब होते हैं, जिस बारे में बात करनी चाहिए उस बारे में बात नहीं करते. It's been more than 16 years now. I don't think I have that sight has ever left me.
Everything happened so suddenly for me. Like, imagine we're going as a family of 3 and coming back with just 2 people physically.
My first ever song as a playback singer was Marjama from Fashion. It released on the 10th day of my dad's passing.
I wish the last 5 years of my life were my initial 5 years after I lost my dad.
Like 4 days before he passed away, for some reason those 4 days we were only talking.
I think a lot of my sadness is actually not sadness, it's anger.
Like I always say that I have music in my life only because of him.
I actually made a conscious choice to not be in a relationship.
Your expectation from that relationship is not just relationship based.
You know, when everything that you shared, I just felt like this has happened to me. And
honestly, I've never spoken with a stranger about this.
When this episode drops, when this episode goes live, what do you hope happens at home when they watch it? For the both of you.
Can I take a minute?
I don't know what's going to happen at home when they see this. More than the grief, more than the loss, I think the first thing that really hits you is like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
And am I the only one? It's been 16 years, but we've never spoken. Like, I don't think me, my sister, my mom, we've sat together and spoken about how each one is feeling. And it's really strange. I don't know, it's very funny. But have you seen Dil Dhadakne Do?
Yeah.
उसमें एक डायलॉग है कि you know, इंसान भी बहुत अजीब होते हैं, जिस बारे में बात करनी चाहिए उस बारे में बात नहीं करते.
Correct.
And this is one of those which kind of, you know, sums this whole conversation, that we never talk about grief either.
To be honest, the reason why I wanted to do this is to be the person. I hope Mango Balm, or as a community, through us, through me, I am that person who I needed when I was going through grief or when I lost my loved one. Anyone who's watching can feel, like I said, like that, you know, that this is something that is happening to me.
Yeah.
I was not told about it. Okay, like I'm absolutely, you know, normal, like this is absolutely fine. And
Yeah.
and like you said, like we don't talk about it at all. And
Yeah.
I think I have had, I don't have siblings, which is me and my mom. I lost my dad 15 years ago. I was 19.
Wow.
And like you said, I mean, when you said that we've not spoken about it, I could feel it, because
Yeah.
we have also not really spoken about grief.
Yeah.
We've shared some, you know, nuggets and something that reminds you of him, and you know, and I can see it. I'm sure my mom can also see it.
I know.
We can see each other's grief.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
by now, you know. I think you just know that, okay, this is not.
Yeah.
This is
And
because
it's
of grief.
literally like, you know, when you're in that conversation, or when it's that day, or it's that moment, and you don't even need to talk about it. Like it's almost like a reflex,
Yeah.
that, you know, one person is feeling it and the other person immediately catches it.
Yes.
But catching it is another thing, and literally sitting down and talking about it and comforting each other
Yeah.
of how they are feeling. I think that's what we don't do usually. I don't know why we don't do it.
I know. I wonder why. But
Yeah.
but in my case, you know, I feel so. Both my mom and I are not expressive. My dad was the most expressive, and when he was there, it never felt like it didn't feel, because he would fill it up for the two of us, right? So it would just feel. So imagine like the puzzle ka piece only has been picked up.
Yeah.
Now it's so difficult to sort of address it, talk about it. Here are two people, in my case, living together. We are dealing with our own grief in our own way. We belong to two different generations with every passing year. We are dealing with the struggles of the present generation. It's bloody tough, yeah.
It is tough. So I remember like I always had like long conversations with my dad. Even like 4 days before he passed away. For some reason, those 4 days, we were only talking. Like I did not go to work. I did not do anything. Dad and I just spoke for 4 days, like at a stretch, like 8, 9 hours. And that's the last memory of him that I have, you know, talking and expressing and, you know, talking about everything under the sun, from music to spiritualism to you know, guys to boys to whatever, you know, like. And on the 5th day also, we were just talking. And literally in this much distance, we were sitting and chatting. And next day, we were supposed to bring Ganpati for the first time. So I bought the things, the decorations, and I was showing him. And I remember I had this bright yellow piece of cloth, and I was showing it to him, and I was like, Papa, I got this. And he just looked at me and he's like, this color suits you a lot, you should wear this more often. And I was like, okay, and I put it aside, and then I looked at him and he was gone. It was probably not even like 3 seconds. So, and I have seen him go, like I saw him literally leave. And when I talk about it, I usually don't cry. But yeah, I literally saw him leave. It's been more than 16 years now. I don't think I have, that sight has ever left me. For the longest time, I didn't even pray. Like, I prayed to my dad. Because we talked so much, right?
Oh my God, that's same. In fact, I used to feel so guilty when I when I like prayed to somebody else, for instance. I would feel like, why am I not praying to my dad? Because I would only, I can't
Imagine
believe
you'll have
you said
exclusive blessings of his.
I can't believe you said that.
With God, so you'll have to be in the queue. There are so many people asking for things.
I know. You also, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
like,
no,
it
no,
was,
of course.
it's beautiful, right? But like,
It's
I can't
beautiful.
believe.
It's beautiful.
Okay, paint me a picture of him. I want to know how he was. I want to get to know.
I literally have his nose. I literally have his eyebrows. I literally have his eyes. We both have square earlobes. I don't know if you can see. But yeah, like, so I think like I have a lot of him in me. And there are times like, even when I'm like, say I'm going out and I'm putting on makeup and suddenly like, I'm like trying to fill my eyebrows and I was like, Arey Papa's eyebrows. You know? So sometimes it's very funny, but yeah, he had like really huge dimples. He was tall. Very emotional. Yeah, he was a fighter, I think. He really, really, you know, and I belong to a very conservative Gujarati family from Ahmedabad. So, you know, coming to Bombay and pursuing music and having a career wasn't really like a part of the family culture in Ahmedabad. So for him to, you know, not just like make us do it, I think like he really, really pushed ki nahi, shaadi wadi hoti rahegi, like do something with your life, do something meaningful. From the time which was like probably in class 3 or 4, tab se like he'd sit with me and he's like, do riyaz, and he would sit with me throughout my riyaz sessions. Like I always say that I have music in my life only because of him. You know,
Is there that one song that reminds you of him?
No, I think every time I hear music, every time I sing, every sound reminds me of him.
So, for me also, I mean, in a way, but I categorically have a few songs that totally remind me of him. So he was a big 𝘥𝐺𝐸 Singh fan.
Oh wow.
And his last, so imagine his two favorite songs were Hotel California, and then there was Tere Aane Ki Khabar Mehke by 𝘥𝐺𝐸 Singh ji.
Yeah.
So that was his last ringtone. So when he passed away in Canada.
Oh,
We
okay.
had actually gone there for my first cousin's wedding.
Oh.
And it almost felt like he's just, he's made this trip to get the family together. And then just like go. Like he was so happy. I have genuinely not seen him that happy and at peace ever in my life as much as he was in those 15 days that we spent there, that he spent there with his older brother, with his family, with all of us together. And yeah, like just 2 days before the wedding, he, on a regular morning, like he had his breakfast or whatever they did. I was actually sleeping because like I said, we had the wedding, so in the family, and I was supposed to go to the market. He actually came, woke me up, and then went to sleep forever. And because every time I listen to this song, Tere Aane Ki Jab Khabar Mehke, and Chitti Na Koi Sandesh, it's actually, I feel like that's my life story. So, when I came back from Canada, I used to actually dial his number to listen to the ringtone. Sorry, I used to dial his number to listen to the caller tune. And no matter what I did, but that song would just not sound the same otherwise as it would on his phone.
Yeah.
Up until there came a time where I had to surrender the number, but till then I was just holding on to it, right? Because I was just like, this is his song, this is his song. And there's something in you that you don't want to share it with the world because it's ours.
Yeah.
Right? So it's amazing how, and like music also in that sense has helped me heal a lot, because I also realized when I used to listen to these songs is when my true emotions started coming out, because everything happened so suddenly for me. Like imagine we're going as a family of 3 and coming back with just 2 people physically.
I can't even.
I
can't imagine.
And I had my final year of college, and I don't know. I mean, it's not something I didn't plan. Life just went on autopilot. Like it just happened, and I accepted it. Like I just surrendered, and it was just happening to me. Like I didn't even pay attention to what, how, when, where. Just went with the flow. But I realized that didn't do me any good. It messed up like my system in a very, very big way.
Did you cry immediately, or did you like deal with, or did it sink in after some time?
At that moment, because I so clearly remember the bedroom, the way he was. When I touched him, because my mother saw him first, and when she screamed, when I ran upstairs to the bedroom, when I saw him, I don't know, something in me, I held him and I felt like his soul is not there. Like I just felt it, I felt it, but it just felt so calm and so peaceful. And I just couldn't cry at that time. I couldn't. Also because my first thought was, I have to, my mom is there. So instantly the first thing was, okay, no, mama should be fine. It may sound a little random, but the kind of send off he got. I can't thank my family. I can't thank everybody who was there with us to support us, but he truly went like a king. And I think it was very beautiful to, in a way, to see him go like that. You know? So I didn't cry immediately because everything after that sort of becomes very...
Mechanical?
Yes. It's very process driven, right?
Yeah. कि अब ये करना है, अब ये करना है, अब ये करना है. Because
Yeah.
obviously there are 10,000 rituals.
Correct. And for us, it was as a family. I'm not just saying for me. As a family, it was also difficult because there was a wedding in the family.
Yeah.
And my mom and my focus was only for that wedding to happen. We wanted it because my dad said it has to be the greatest wedding Canada has ever seen. You know, he used to say these things. I want this to be like that. I want this to be...
I know that kind of a father.
Yeah. So he said that at one of the pre-wedding functions. And at no point did we not want to have that wedding. We wanted it to happen.
Yeah.
You know, it was very important. So
He would have wanted the same.
absolutely,
Yeah, exactly.
he would have. And
Yeah.
and there was no other way. Like, we, not even for a second did that thought come into our mind that we can't have that, you know. So yeah, so it was. But then I remember, like, there was a moment when my brother came and like he just held my hand and he just started talking. And because I saw him cry, that was the first time I cried. But if you ask me, the moment I remember where I truly felt his loss after 2 days was at the wedding reception. Up until then, I didn't, like, I obviously felt it, but I didn't know what was happening, right? Like, you don't know. I mean, how can you suddenly, a person is there and now that person doesn't
Not there.
exist? That's very
it's-
strange.
So, like, first 4-5 days, obviously, you cry because this has happened, but it still does not sink in.
Absolutely.
It
feel
takes days. And in my case, I remember, like, it took me like 21, 22 days. And then suddenly it hit me that, oh, I'm never going to be able to see him again. And then suddenly you feel like, okay, you'll never be able to feel their physical presence. You'll not be able to touch him. You'll not be able to see him. You'll not be able to talk to him. You will not be able to fall back on him like you are so used to, you know?
Yeah.
And then suddenly you feel like you are lost. Like, I felt lost in the beginning. And as you rightly said, that when it is happening, your first thought is, okay, is mom okay? Like, you want to take care of your
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
And then you feel alone. Like, अंदर से अकेला feel हो रहा है.
Yeah.
I think हमारे Indian या Hindu rituals में इसलिए इतने लंबे rituals हैं, so that, you know, when something like this happens, the family needs support. And family needs that, you know, people around. I think that's the reason those 13-14 days, that it takes that much time at least for it to sink in. And उसके बाद वाला जो silence है ना, I thought like that was the most difficult. That silence.
Yeah.
It really, really, you know, kind of starts eating you from within. And I don't know how much time does it take to deal with it, because I don't think there is a parameter as such.
For me, I don't think time heals. For me personally.
Okay.
I feel it just teaches you to somehow turn your grief into love.
Yeah. But that's a way of healing, right?
Yeah,
That's healing in itself.
Maybe. Honestly, I feel like I wish the last 5 years of my life were my initial 5 years after I lost my dad. Because my first 10 years were like, like I said, like it was on autopilot, right?
Yeah.
But 5 years ago is when I totally crashed and when I realized that this has happened to me. Imagine after 10 years, that's when I started grieving. Up until then, I didn't even know what it was to grieve. You know, I have some sense of awareness about myself. So I saw a shift in myself and I'm like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling physically, mentally so different from who I was, which actually is a very big part of loss anyway, that you lose a part of yourself. You're not the same person anymore, right? Yeah. Because I saw a change in myself and I was finding it so difficult to accept who I was becoming. I was a workaholic, like there was no work-life balance. There was just, I was like, okay, this is required. It's a part of my job. I have been a creative director and creative producer. I do non-fiction programming.
Yeah, we've not spoken about
that
at all.
So I've always done that, and we know, you know, how the media functions and what the demands of the jobs are. But I didn't realize that because I didn't get any time to grieve for nearly 10 years, that it would just throw me off completely. And it took me almost a year with work to put myself together, you know. At a time where I was really struggling and trying to put my pieces together, there is then always obviously the pressure of your people who are close to you. They always want a piece of you.
Yeah.
So there are just so many things. It's your relationship with yourself, your dynamics with people you're living with, your dynamics with your close friends, family, whoever, colleagues. What I truly felt from within, many years later, when he passed away, not because he was not there anymore, but when I saw others around me, other father-daughters or, you know, parents and their children, is when I realized that he truly did everything in his capacity to make me feel happy and to give me everything and to just make me feel, you know, like something else. I've lost that sense of security, stability, and that foundation, and I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get it back, you know.
But in my case, I think, you know how like we are, like I've just moved to Bombay. I'm pursuing music. I want to become a singer. I have dreams. I have friends. I'm having fun. I'm leading my journey to my goals, and then suddenly, like you're like on cloud 9, and then it just it just brings you back to your roots, and they're like, okay, now deal with this.
Have you ever been angry with him?
I have, a lot of times, and it did not. Like I was saying, that it did not happen for the longest time, and I thought I was okay, and then my career just took off and I got busy working and everything great was happening in my life. So my first ever song as a playback singer was Marjama from Fashion. It released on the 10th day of my dad's passing. Nothing could compensate for that loss.
Yeah.
But every time I thought about him, it felt like, why is he not here? Because for me, it's like I have music in my life because of him, and now he is not there to see this.
Yeah.
Because we shared the dream.
Yeah.
He was a part owner of my dream.
Yeah.
You know, and now that things were blossoming.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for him and he's not there. So it pinched me for the longest time. Pehle I used to cry a lot. Then the crying stopped. Then it would be probably, you know, talking about him once a week.
Hmm.
And then again bursting out crying in front of mom or her crying in front of me. Or suddenly that weeks became months, and then months became occasions. So now when I think about him, I don't feel angry that he's not there. I feel like I wish he was there. You know, so that transition took a little while.
Yeah.
But now I know for a fact that, you know, whenever something great happens in my life, I just close my eyes. I'm like, I wish he was there, you know. But I have a smile on my face now.
Yeah.
Now there are days when there are sad tears, like you miss him. Of course, you miss him, because that missing never stops.
It'll never go.
You know, it'll never go.
Correct.
But of course, like जो initially होता है कि you know निवाला गले से नहीं उतरता है या सुबह से शाम होते होते you are like exhausted because of feeling so much. So it gradually that pain starts to it doesn't die down, but it starts to, you know, decrease in terms of the intensity of that pain. And then gradually that pain turns into happily missing him.
Bittersweet.
Yeah, that bittersweetness, right? Like exactly that word. Like, so there are days when I have tears missing him in a slightly sad way, and then there are days when I'm crying, but I have happy tears.
That's what mango balm is.
I was going to ask, why don't you tell me why exactly mango balm?
So my dad loved mangoes and I used
Okay.
to not like it at all. Like who doesn't like mangoes,
Yeah.
right? But like I didn't. And every summer, jab, you know, like everyone has, right? Like
Yeah.
season ke
If I
pehle
had a
aam.
thought bubble, I would have like question marks in
Yes.
my thought bubble. Like, you don't like mangoes? Who are you?
So season ke pehle aam aaye hain ghar mein. And you know, he would always insist, like you said, like I was the apple of his eye. Like his wealth is his family, like his
You were
mother.
the mango
and
of his eyes.
me. Yes.
Sorry for the
No,
PJ,
no.
but yeah.
Not at all.
Continue.
So for him, everything started and ended with me, right? So even the first arm has to be eaten. Like I have to bite into it. No. So he used to be like, "Nahi, aap khao. You have to eat it. You have to eat it. You have to eat it." He would always be like, "Nahi, pehle aap khao," and I would just keep saying no, and it would be like this, you know, little banter, argument, whatever, jo bhi kehna hai keh lo. Last few years, one year, I don't know how it happened, but my mother got the mangoes at home and I just had it. And it was like, okay, I'm having another fruit. Oh, it tastes very nice. It's lovely. On the second day, it hit me that, shit, I'm eating a mango. And when, you know, Papa used to say that, kha lo,
Right,
I used to just say no. And it just left me with so much of sadness and happiness in equal measures, because
Yeah.
I was so sad and I was like, I wish I had done it. You know, he kept saying, and I wish I had done it. I wish I had done it, and I didn't. And there was a happiness, you know, like a smile.
It was almost like you were sharing that mango with him.
Yeah, like
In a way.
I was like it
Of
almost
course, of
became
course.
like,
Yeah.
you know, like as if he's coming to me and I'm eating it. And I felt it, and it was such a bittersweet moment that when I started working on myself and my grief and my journey, I wrote a blog for myself, which was called Mango Balm.
Wow.
And I said, someday I would like to share this and listen to others, because I want to know, grief is bittersweet in some way, right?
It is.
It is mango balm. And I don't know when that piece of mango just became a balm to me, because every year now, without fail, I look forward to it. And I enjoy it as if I love it, you know. And I just feel, I'm like, I don't know, some days I'm sitting and I'm reacting in a certain way. Then I'm thinking, like when these instances happen, I'm like, has his soul come into me? I'm becoming totally like him as I'm growing older, you know, to an extent where I react in a certain way, or I say something and I was like, shit, he would have done the exact same thing. He would have done this, he would have done this.
But that happens all the time, right? Like there are times when you just end up saying something and then you're like, Papa would have said this, or Papa would have done this.
Yeah.
Like that happens so many times, right?
And or when I'm in a situation where I'm surrounded by, say, a lot of negativity, or just in a very tough situation, I always think, okay, what would he do? And then I take a moment and then I react. Nice. And then I do what I feel is right. But
of course.
Yeah. So which is why when you said bittersweet, I said that is Mango Balm. You know?
That's his presence in a way?
Yeah. Through things, yes.
Through things.
Absolutely.
Have you ever felt his presence in a way like, okay, like something happened and this could be his blessing, or this could be, you know?
All the time. I can't tell you, Shruti. I lost him physically, but I feel so connected to him. I can't even express it. Like some people may say it's like bizarre and whatever. I also have faith in spirituality. But ever since I came back to Bombay, I have seen so many signs, and it can't be coincidences. But I feel like I have a one-on-one relationship with him. I'm not sharing him with anyone now, you know?
Yeah.
It may sound bizarre, but it's just so strong, our connection. I constantly know there is someone looking out for me. Of course, I'm human, so there are days when I'm like, okay, if somebody is looking out for me, if you're looking out for me, why is this happening to me, or why is this not happening to me?
That banter never stops.
Yeah. And you have that doubt, but my faith is a notch higher than the doubt.
I agree.
You know, and I feel that all the time. I feel, you know, Anhadnath, the vibration in the music, I feel that. I feel him here right now. I feel in general, I feel him, his presence in a lot of situations. I've seen sometimes where, like, you know, we used to, whenever my mom and I used to sit in the car, every time when I would drive, on the radio, there used to be this one song that my mother loved, and every time it would play on the radio, every single time.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you, because this is exactly what my experience has been. As I mentioned earlier, that, you know, I literally for the longest time I stopped praying. You know, I would only like literally just talk to him.
Yeah.
And it still continues, like every night, like till today. Every night I'm about to sleep, I close my eyes and I visualize him. And we have our chat little, like what happened through the day, or if something is going wrong and I'm like, why, you know? And the emotions that I cannot express to probably my mom or, you know, my sister or my friends, I am openly able to say exactly the way I'm feeling it, exactly the way I'm, you know, the way it is, basically, you know, and there are no judgments.
Correct.
And at the same time, it's too funny. Like sometimes when you're doing something which probably you know that, you know, he wouldn't have appreciated, you're like, oh God, he's watching.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a constant reminder also.
Yeah.
When you're going wrong, you know, he's like a reminder. Okay, he wouldn't have liked it. And so he's become my moral compass.
Yeah, yeah.
In a lot of sense, you know. And of course, when you're doing something good, and like I just smile and I, you know, just cheer with him.
You know, when everything that you shared, I just felt like this has happened to me, and it was just like so nice and comforting for me to feel like that, okay, you know, I have someone to share this with.
But I'm sure कहीं ना कहीं सब लोग ऐसा ही कुछ फील करते होंगे.
But पता है, I don't think people have people who can listen or talk to.
Yeah,
I didn't.
Yeah.
I genuinely felt I can count the number of people I can talk to about my grief or about my experiences, or who I feel want to hear me out, you know, or have made that safe space for me to talk about it. And I mostly found that in strangers, like whether it's a colleague who's gone to become one, like as my family today, or whoever, somebody from the outside. Didn't you think did grief affect your personal relationships?
The fact that nobody feels the need to talk about it, like for instance, it's me and my mom or me and my sister, you know, and my sister is not like, we don't have like a huge age gap, but still we've never really sat down and spoken about how we feel. We've spoken ample amount of times, we've spoken about dad, but we've never spoken about feelings or how she, what does she feel. Like I still do not know what my sister feels. Like I know because because I do it, and I know that as I just said that, you know, I think about my dad every night. Like I close my eyes and I share with him about my daily, like stupidest of the things I talk to him about, you know, without any judgments and everything. But I don't know what my sister does.
But what makes you not share what you feel? Or
no, it's not like I'm not trying to. That's, you know, they say that bees or butterflies are a sign.
They're here.
They're here. Something very funny had happened. I'm sorry, I'm like cutting and going into like a very funny instance.
No, please say.
So I was talking during the lockdown, where I was staying. There were a couple of friends in the same building. We were all bored and we used to meet up and play board games, and we used to play Ludo. So I was telling them that when I pray very hard, like I say, like, Papa, I want this, you know, things kind of align itself, you know. And I was just saying like how important, you know, talking to him or praying to him, or, you know, like his blessings are so evident in my life. When I so I was sharing all that with them, and then we were just making, not making fun, but like we were just having fun with the fact that, you know, like I can just like pray to my dad and things happen, you know, like looking at him as a blessing.
Yeah.
And then we were playing Ludo and she's like, will he listen to me? I said, try it. And she rolls her dice and like, Uncle 6. And then it was a 6.
Oh.
So like small things, like not that it means anything, but what I'm saying is that,
they
you
do
know,
mean a lot.
we think about him in the smallest of things.
Yeah.
You know, in the funniest ways, in the most intense ways, and I look for opportunities to see or feel his presence. And I thought that was my way of grieving. But as I was saying that, you know, I don't know how my sister grieves. Like we've never gotten to speak about it.
Why do you think you've never gotten to speak about it?
I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know. I don't know why we've not spoken. जबकि ऐसा नहीं है. Like my sister and I we are very close.
Yeah.
But इस बारे में कभी बात नहीं की है. I wish, like how we are talking right now, I wish my sister and I could have gone there, or with my mom as well.
Well, in my case, it has occurred to me, but I don't know why I can't talk to my mother about it. I don't know, maybe like I was saying, it's also, we're just...
That sense of responsibility?
No, not really. I think there is a very awkward shyness that is very organic that has been built.
Yeah,
That just comes with
I
grief.
know, yeah.
You know, and I
agree.
feel like for me personally, I mean, I want to talk about it. I've always wanted to, like, I want to talk about my father all the time. I
Yeah.
want to, because I feel like it's keeping me, like, it's keeping him alive, right? Like, even
Yeah.
like in some way or the other.
Yeah.
But I don't find people around me to talk to,
Yeah.
to talk about him
To
with.
talk about him with.
And it's not because they don't want to hear. Maybe perhaps from their end they don't want to talk about it because, you know, they don't want
They don't want you
to get
trigger.
sad, to trigger.
Trigger.
It's not. It's almost like not everyone can say I love you to their parents.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I wanted to ask you was that, did you ever feel, because I did, but did you ever feel let down by people who were close to you because they were not, you expected them to be in a certain way, but they were not?
I think from the very beginning, I did have that understanding naturally that everyone is grieving in their own right, and is why I was not expecting anything, you know, so that expectation was not there on the table, you know. Rather, as I said, that, you know, I felt like, okay, how can I help, you know. So I think that expectation never occurred to me. But having said that, lost my thought.
It's okay, take your time.
I think sometimes it's important to even have someone, like, you don't even have to speak.
Share silence with.
Yeah, share silence with someone. I think that's very healing.
It is.
Yeah, and thankfully I did have friends, you know, who understood what my need was at that time. You know, there were times when I just wanted someone to sit next to me and be quiet.
Correct. I've gone through that also. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want that too a lot of times.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to say anything.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you want to say so much. Honestly, तब इतना पता भी नहीं होता था कि, you know, grieving was such a thing.
Yeah.
Like, I did not know much about grieving
Neither did I.
15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I did not. Now, thanks to Instagram and like so many other platforms, like, you know, especially since lockdown, like, you see so many
Yeah.
these forwards, and once you see a couple, then your search engine is filled with them, and then you, like, I did not know this whole concept of body storing emotions.
Yeah.
Thanks to the awareness that has been created in the last couple of years, I think it's become a little more evidently out there.
Yeah.
पर पहले नहीं पता होता था.
I mean, even for that matter, to the fact that you can reach out for help, right? Like, how
Yeah,
do you reach
yeah,
out for help?
yeah.
I was always the kind of person, and like my dad, like, we were always givers. So I didn't know how to ask things
Ask
or
for help.
ask for help till date. You know, even for somebody who's recently lost a loved one, or, and you know, and this is something I wish someone told me. Everyone will move on, everything around you will move on, but you will stay with this feeling. So if you're feeling terrible about something, if you're feeling, you know, like,
Basically, the point is to not shove it under the rug, and rather just like
Yeah,
face it.
fine. I mean, I'm sure everybody will have their different ways
Of course.
to deal with it. But I feel like that one thing, at least for me, realize and grieve. Understand what grieving is. Understand what works for you in your journey of grief. Take that time off if you need to, if you can, because that will set the foundation for the rest of your life. I wish somebody told me that no, you need to sit down and actually understand and relive that moment if you have to, but you have to grieve.
Yeah, I agree. After a certain age, you know, people are looked at differently. Like in India, people are looked at very differently. You know, you think your mom's loneliness, if I could use that word, was one of the reasons why you didn't want to trigger her emotions, why you were not able to talk to her?
One of the main reasons I feel is that the first year, which is one of the most crucial years, right? Like when it happened, we were actually apart for an entire year because I went to study abroad. She was here. And while I don't want to term it, like regret would be a hard word. I don't regret it, but if given a chance, I would not do that. I wish somebody told me don't go, or someone guided me.
You would have wanted to be
because
there for
I
her.
feel that that time was so crucial for us to be together, that we started our journeys individually, which is going to be individual anyway.
Right.
But we could have been together and done that individually. So I feel like that is where the foundation was laid, and it's sort of just, I mean, it wasn't like we were not connected, but you know, it was that sense of being together in the first year of grieving would have perhaps made it a little more easier. And I feel from then, it just organically just started. And like I said, right, like I just got so busy in working and things like that, and you know, life catching up. And for my mother, it was always like, I don't want to come in between her dreams. Like it's her life. She should never feel that because of me, she's not fulfilling her dreams. So I know I totally see and feel her loneliness, but deep down I am also very lonely, you know. And that's why sometimes I feel like I want people around, like I want to talk to somebody. But
Do you want to talk to your mom now about it?
yeah, I would actually. And I mean, it's not going to be easy. I think I'll start by showing this because there needs to be an icebreaker. But yes, sometimes I do feel like I can't share certain things with her because I already feel she has a lot to deal with of her own. I do definitely feel that.
Like one of my friend had a very different, so he lost his father, and he asked me if he'll forget his face or he'll forget about him. Though it never occurred to me that I'll ever be able to forget. Like for me, like every time I close my eyes, I can see him. So I have not. But he was scared that he'll forget his father.
Did it like put a seed in your mind on about what if you
it
forget?
took me a few seconds. It took me a few minutes to like gather my thought around it because I did not feel it. But it was a very legit question.
Now I don't fear that, but I used to. I was like, okay, what if I forget? Like he used to talk very fast, okay, my father. So सब लोग पूछते थे कि आप समझते कैसे हो कि वो क्या बोलते हैं, you know? So I'm like, once when I wanted to hear something from him, right? Like when I was going through a low phase, I was like, why can't I hear his voice? Like, why can't I hear it in my mind?
So that voice in your head is way more important.
Yeah,
now.
But I couldn't hear it, and I was like, oh, am I forgetting how he talks?
You know, eventually, with the passing time, physically that presence is not going to be there, and one might think or fear losing that sense of connection with their loved ones.
What do you think about healing? Like, do you feel like if you are ever healed completely, you will forget him?
I think you never heal. This is my personal belief. You never heal completely. Like, of course, you know, that whole transition of crying every day to that days turn into weeks and then months and then years and occasions and whatever. That transition happens eventually. But you don't completely heal. You know, it will hit you all of a sudden somewhere. Something might just, suddenly pop up and it will bring you back.
But do you want to? Do you want to be completely healed?
I don't want to be healed.
Same.
I don't want to be healed because there's this sense of I think, I know that I will not forget about him, but I don't want to heal because I enjoy the feeling. I love to cry, I love to happy cry, I love to think about him, I love to, chat up with him, I love to put all my frustrations out there on him. I think it's become a part of my life. Now, like how he was physically present in my life and he was such a huge part of my life, now his physical absence is also a part of my life, and I don't want to ruffle that feeling.
It's very beautiful what you just said, actually. I mean, I don't want to heal completely either, because I know I won't ever forget him. But on some days when I take a little more than a second to think about something he would have done or he likes, I am very harsh on myself. I'm like, how can I not remember this? How can I forget this?
So there's guilt around it, is it?
I mean, it's not guilt, but what happens is that for me, I'm going through that transformation. So grief is the only tangible thing, the last tangible thing I have as a symbol of his love.
Yeah.
And I want to carry that forever. Because for me, like you said, like that is the sign of, that's him somehow. And for me, it's sad sometimes, like when I think that, you have to think of something that's so sad to remember somebody, but there's something very beautiful about it.
The wound is healed, but that scar never goes, and it reflects in your other relationships, and not just with your romantic partner, also with your mother or your sibling.
I think a lot of my sadness is actually not sadness, it's anger. And I don't know who I'm angry at, whether it's universe, God, whoever, not my father for sure. But it is a lot of anger, and I have had a tough time dealing with it when I didn't know what it was, because for me, I could only release it on my mother, and it's not fair at all.
At all, yeah.
Unfortunately, but she had to bear the brunt of everything that I was going through, because that was my immediate source of, bouncing things off.
Yeah.
And I have not been at my best many a times. And I'm very, very, I'm guilty for my behavior.
So did you ever feel like it was fair?
No, because I couldn't, I know that I was not.
Because sometimes I feel like, yeah, I am frustrated and it's only legit that I would feel like that.
Yeah, but I'm talking about those more serious moments. At that moment, you're just out of control, you know. It's not you who's doing it or who wants to do it. It's the emotions inside you that's making you react that way. And that, I think,
It's almost like a spring that you keep it suppressed, and then one
dark,
fine day it just...
Yeah, it is the dark side of grief, and it is that.
What's the one advice you can give to somebody who's currently succumbing to the dark side of grief? For example, alcoholism, drugs, sex, eating disorders, everything. All this is the extreme dark side. And for people who are succumbing to that, what's the one piece of advice you could give?
I think talking is the only way out, is what I feel, you know, because the more you...
But I feel like sometimes it's also acceptance that I am going through this.
But then that acceptance will only come when you actually are able to speak about it.
What if that person doesn't have anyone who he or she can share?
But I think that's where the whole professional help, which is not very common in our country.
Correct.
You know, I think it's.
I feel it's
that whole taboo around going to a therapist or seeking a professional help.
Yes.
I think it's very, very important, especially now.
It's changed my life, so a lot of things that I
agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because पहले के ज़माने में लोग joint families में रहते थे, people dealt with things very differently.
Yeah.
To now, we live in smaller units, and if one parent or a sibling is gone, then you know, it leaves you with no scope for expression.
Yeah.
You know, and hence I think it's काफ़ी लोग they find different outlets of these expressions in terms of alcohol or other substances or you know other habits.
No, I agree. I mean, reaching out, I think, is just so important. But I feel like I understand, because, like I said, like I find it very difficult to reach out, right? But when you're influenced by other factors, it gets even more tougher. So I think just also having that one person, even if there's one person around you who can truly be there in your journey, to listen to you, to hear you out, to understand you while you are in it.
Yeah.
If the person who's dealing with grief, you know, feels like, okay, I have this one person, I know that things will change for him or her.
That person should want to come out of that phase.
Yes.
Because you can't, like, I can give you medicine, but I can't pop it for you, right? So that person should want to come out of it, and that can only happen with conversations.
Yes.
Conversations that would inspire someone to want to change their situation for better.
Yeah. And knowing that that person is not alone.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that's so important, because, like, you know, we've been discussing grief is so isolating at times, right?
I just feel like, you know, people who end up in that dark side are probably feeling very betrayed by the situation.
Life in general.
In life in general, and these experiences. And for them to find that ray of hope, I think conversations with whoever, like, great if you have someone you can talk to, someone who understands you, someone who you can just share the silence with, you know.
Did your journey impact your personal relationships in terms of romantic relationships as well?
I think in many ways, because, you know, and especially in our cases, like, because we have a lot of similarities in terms of our situation. Like, it's just you and your mom. My sister's married, so it's just me and my mom at home, you know, for many years now. So that presence of a male figure is absent you know. And when there is a romantic angle that is happening, your expectation from that relationship is not just relationship based.
Yeah.
Then you are also trying to fill that void
Correct.
of a father figure through the romantic partner, and that's unfair, because that's not his job. He is not in your life for that.
I hear you, and I know where you're coming from, because I actually made a conscious choice to not be in a relationship for some time, because I felt I needed to be mentally and emotionally in a certain place to not carry that baggage with me.
Did it make you avoidant in terms of, like, as you said that, you know, you felt like you didn't want to get into a relationship?
You know, I was so consumed in myself, like in healing myself, that I just shut everything. So yes, in a way I did, because I just felt that's the only way I can deal with it right now. Like, I can't deal with another aspect of my life, or I don't want to rather begin another aspect of my life while I am not feeling very settled.
Did it happen to you, like, as you said already, that, you know, you chose to not get into relationships, but did it ever make you look for characteristics of your father in a partner?
Now that I'm thinking about it a little more, maybe that was one of my fears too. That if I don't get what I think I should or what I deserve, because the bar was set so high up, I'd be really disappointed.
So we both live with our mothers, you know. How do you think the society perceives it?
As far as people who are close to us are concerned, they never made us feel like that. But I feel like in those typical jobs, like at banks, I felt that, you know, when a 20-year-old was going to the bank to figure things out, they would take us for a ride.
Yeah.
I mean, and we understood it, and we were naive in some things, but we were aware, so we've had like our share of understanding, dealing with these things. But I see a visible, even in today's day and age, when it comes to rents, you know, when it comes to looking for homes and you don't have a male figure at home. When mom and I would go to find or to look for apartments, they wouldn't ask directly, but they would ask, right, like how many people are going to stay and who's going to stay or whatever. And eventually they would understand, and we definitely saw a shift in perception. Did you ever feel that?
At every step? Oh, biggest example, when I had to get my dad's death certificate.
Yeah.
I went there. I went there for 3 days consecutively. No one would take me seriously. You know? So it starts with that basic things. All you need is a certificate. But uske liye bhi, you'll go stand there, nobody's taking you seriously. So it takes years and lot of experience and lot of this such experiences for you to learn to get over those things and, you know, like push yourself out there and say that no, you talk to me.
Correct.
Right?
I actually felt that a lot, even in terms of me and when I'm going to get married. I don't know if you heard that.
That's the biggest.
You know, there's
I hear
a subtle
you.
pressure that comes, that's been put because it can't directly come. I don't know if it comes to you directly, but no.
I had some people come to me directly and say, "करना नहीं है क्या शादी वादी?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
अगर पापा होते मैं बोलती इनसे बात कीजिए आप.
Yeah, correct. You know, I didn't realize we've been speaking for so long. Like,
Yeah, it's been almost 2 hours. Honestly, I've never spoken with a stranger about this. And today, for the first time that I'm talking about it, I mean, as I said, that I've spoken with my friends, but complete stranger, जिसका first name के अलावा मुझे कुछ पता नहीं
same
था.
here. इतना detail में मैंने भी नहीं कभी बात
कभी
की है.
बात नहीं की है. It's a relief of sorts. Because
It
when you're
is.
talking to your friends, you still have like,
Yeah.
you know, you're looking for validation, you're looking for some kind of comfort for them, from them.
But you know what I feel?
You're not
also
looking
it
for
is.
comfort from a stranger.
Because I
you know?
already know that you will know how I feel.
Yeah.
I know
that's
that
true.
somewhere.
That's true.
I know that it's the loss that is connecting us. It's the common emotion of
Yeah.
grief that's connecting us. And I don't have any, like, I didn't know anything about you or your story, right? But I just felt like I've known you forever.
Yeah.
And
Same
I think,
here. Same here. I just feel, I mean, as I said, that I've
yeah.
never experienced talking about this with a stranger. So it feels new.
Yeah. And feels close to
it
home.
Feels close to home, and it feels amazing because I've never had this experience. So for me, it's brand new.
Yeah, but it just makes us feel that we are a part of each other's stories.
Stories, exactly.
I take a very long time, like even to like hug people. Like it's very difficult for me, but I'm going to give one to you.
We both deserve one. God.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank
Loved
you.
it. Last night and today, up until I came here, was extremely tough for me.
Okay.
I said, okay, what I'm going to do is just let the hours pass. Okay. All I did was I looked at this photograph. That's my dad and me. And there was something that said, because I kept saying, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should do it. And I know that he just said it. He's like, if there's someone who can do it, it's you. Go do it. I'm just so glad and we're here, we're doing it.
You won't believe this. I have almost the same picture on my phone.
Oh, I would love to see it.
My phone is in the back, but yeah, exactly the same picture.